Hello friends, it's Sarah, and today I'm setting up my August 2022 bullet journal. So for the tarot cards today, I have the Six of Cups, which is a childish innocence, playing games, frivolity, the feeling of being happily unattached. And the theme for this month is the show Anne with an E, based off of Anne of Green Gables. And I thought that really represented the spirit of Anne and her story. Just that she's, a kid and growing up and still very innocent despite a lot of the horrors she's experienced, but that she just loves using her imagination and playing with her friends. The second card that I have is the Ace of Swords, which represents pure unbending idealism, victory, achieving a true inner and outer peace of oneself, and the power to love strongly. And I thought that fit Anne to a T. She's so optimistic and she has such a beautiful way of seeing the world, and she's so capable of love and she loves so strongly. So I thought this was the perfect representation for her. So for the background of this spread, I have a whole bunch of construction paper that I ripped into strips, and I kind of wanted it to represent the countryside, the nature in the series. So we've got kind of a purple for the sky, the blue for the ocean, green for the grass, and then the various shades of yellow and brown for the fields and the crops and the wheat and all that's in the show. So like I said, my theme for this month is the CBC show Anne with an E. It's also on Netflix, but it started out on CBC, and it is kind of it's not a modern adaptation of Anne of Green Gables because it's still set in the original timeline of Anne of Green Gables, but it definitely has more modern values and has been updated to fit with the times a bit better, which I loved. I also printed and cut out a bunch of pictures from the show. I tried to get at least one picture of all of the characters, or all of the main characters in there, but there's a lot of them. As I was scrolling through pages of Google image search results, I kept being oh my god, I love this part of the show too. Oh, and this part. Oh, it's so good. So it was a real struggle to just choose a couple pictures so that they would all fit on my cover page, but I think I managed all right. I also kind of put some of the pictures in underneath the background sheets of construction paper, kind of they're coming out of the scenery, which I thought was kind of fun, and added a little bit more interest and made it look a little more natural and less I just stuck pictures on top. Kind of integrated them into the scenery more. I also took some of my craft paper and just put those in the two corners just to add a little bit more interest, give it that fun layering effect. And after I figured out where all of my printed images went, I went back with a silver Jelly Roll pen and I put in little highlights and lines around a couple of the images, once again just to add some interest. The construction paper was kind of lifting up, so when I closed the notebook and then reopened it to that page, all of the construction paper that was glued to kind of that middle seam would flip up. So I decided to put some washi tape down the middle there just to kind of stick it down a little bit better so I didn't have those weird edges. And I chose this orange plaid, kind of orange for Anne's hair, and then the plaid also just looked kind of country-ish, I guess, because it is set on a farm. On the opposite page, I have my sleep tracker. For whatever reason, I drew a line down the side there to separate the dates from the hours, which I normally never do, so I have no idea what happened there or why I did that, and I probably won't do it again. It looks fine, but I think I like it better the other way. I also used that same washi tape again to put on the edge of my page marking the month. So after I got the washi tape down, I filled in the hours for my sleep tracker. Once again, July, I feel like I've not slept at all. What is happening? I think by the end of the year I will be getting 1 hour sleep a night. It's not great, and I would like for it to stop, please. Hopefully with like winter and like the sun starting to set earlier, it'll be better, because definitely when the sun is setting at like 9:30, 10 p.m., I have a very skewed sense of what time it is, so I stay up later doing things than I probably should or than I would like to, and I don't really realize that, oh, it's 9 o'clock already. I thought it was 7. So hopefully within August, when the sun starts to set closer to like 9, 8:30, my sleep schedule will be helped. For my monthly spread, I once again just drew out my little calendar as I always do, starting my weeks on Mondays because Sunday is part of the weekend, so it shouldn't be at the beginning of the month. Just kidding, I don't really care. I don't have strong feelings about it, but that's kind of my logic as to why I start with Mondays. For the little to-do header on the right-hand side, I just drew a little like torn parchment kind of look because it's really easy to do and it looks really fun. I thought it kind of fit the like historical vibe, this being a period piece and all. I used my Tombow brush pen to write August 2022 and used a Tombow dual brush pen in orange to color in the days of the week. I got a book from one of my local bookshops in town delivered to my house, and it came in this super cool wrap where it's like old-fashioned like advertisements, and so I kept it because I thought it'd be really fun for bullet journals. So I cut up a couple of those things to use in layering because, as I had said before, I had a tough time just choosing a couple images from the series to include, and I printed out probably like twice as many as could actually fit on that cover page, so I just kind of used them throughout the rest of the month as layering, and then I used that gold washi tape to hold down the picture of Anne and Diana and their beautiful flower crowns at the top. For my first weekly spread, I once again just used that like torn parchment kind of look for all of my days of the week. It's super easy to do, it looks pretty good, and it's like putting in a little bit of effort without spending another like hour trying to do the pages. I ripped up some more of those old-timey advertisements and included some pictures, so there you have Matthew with his, I can't remember, was it a turnip or whatever vegetable that he brought to the fair that was like ginormous, and then I have a picture of Anne and Diana from the first season, and I used some of my stickers that I got from Sticky Club previously to add little elements around them. I also accidentally tried to write an 8th day of the week instead of using the last square as my to-do list, so I had to fix that with some whiteout. And this month I decided to include all of my weekly spreads in here because while they look mostly the same, like the parchment obviously is a little different because I just like freehand that, but also the pictures that I include each week are obviously different, and I'm really happy with how they turned out, so I thought I would show you as well. Also, let me know if you've seen Anne with an E or the original like Anne of Green Gables series, and which you prefer if you've seen both of them, because I love the show and I have been rewatching it ever since I filmed this video, and I'm already like halfway through season 3. It's just so excellent. I have no complaints. It's beautiful. Everything about it's exquisite, especially like that credit scene. Ugh, gorgeous. But on this page I have a picture of Anne and Diana hugging, and then Matthew when he's roped into the school play. That poor owl man. I also feel like the relationship between Anne and Gilbert, they're such kindred spirits, if you will, but they're so wonderful to each other and they complement each other well, and they have their like issues, but it's never mean-spirited. It's always just like kind of a miscommunication, or they're teenagers, they're like 13 through 17 and they just can't really control their emotions very well and are going through tough times in good old PEI. So I just think the relationship is so good and they have such a wonderful chemistry that's so relatable still, even though they have old-timey problems. It's still like relatable relationship problems and miscommunications, and it's all the same sort of stuff, just set in a earlier backdrop. On this week's spread, I have a picture of Anne from season 3 when she's like dancing around the fire with all of her schoolmates once they've graduated, and then on the other side I just had a sticker of a wax seal that I thought Anne would love. A little pen stuck next to that as well. I honestly could have watched like 10 more seasons of Anne with an E, but it got canceled sadly. I think they did like a really excellent job of like closing off the whole show in the last series. Like it felt like a really good ending point. It was a pretty big like transition in that they're like ending school and going off to university, and so I think it was a really good stopping point even though they were canceled and it wasn't intentional. But I do wish I could have followed them forever. Period pieces just do something to me and I don't understand it. On my last spread I have another one of those advertisements that I've torn up a little bit. I think it was for coffee actually. And then I cut out this picture of Anne all gussied up with her fancy parasol on the one side, and then I have Anne and Gilbert on the other side with a little letter sticker between them because they do communicate through letters in season 2, which was very sweet. And then my camera got full, so I had to switch entirely to my iPhone, so that's why there's a sudden cut to a different angle. I also loved the inclusion of Black characters in this with Bash and Mary, and their relationship is so wonderful and tender, and the baby Delphine. The Easter episode is gorgeous and heartbreaking. They also have queer characters with Cole and Aunt Jo. In season 3 they include a storyline about residential schools in Canada, which was really well done and like obviously very upsetting, but I really appreciated the inclusion of that as well. And Anne herself, while she still has that like super idealistic imagination and love for nature and stories, she also has like a pretty rough past, and they don't shy away from that. They don't say it, but she's got PTSD. She has like flashbacks and like things will like trigger her. So I thought that was also really interesting to see. They also talk about class stuff with Diana being of an upper class and her parents kind of like not wanting her to associate with like lower class people. So I just think they did a really good job of covering a wide variety of more like modern topics, if you will, stuff that's kind of more at the forefront of the current social conversations, but still situating them in the past and not making them feel like shoehorned in at all. They felt like they fit very naturally, and they were just kind of like almost uncovering stuff that isn't discussed in a lot of period pieces. So I really appreciated that. I thought it was excellent. And if you haven't seen it, go watch the show. I love it so much. It's incredible. And it's just so iconic and Canadian. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen this show, because I'd love to chat about it some more with y'all. And I hope I'll see you next time.